Sunday the 19th of June 2016. This is a chart update for Northern Star Resources. Northern Star really just, like, it's an unstoppable stock at the moment. It's up 100% this year from an already sort of just a tremendous run since this $2 sort of area. It hasn't really let up. It broke up above $5 for the first time on Thursday before sort of pulling down. You can see it's at the upper end of this trend line, the upper trend line. And I think it's due for a. You can see generally when it's had these tremendous runs. So if we look at that, I mean, it's another move toward that sort of that range, but repeating. It tends to have a bit of a pullback for a month or two before another leg higher, and I think that's probably a likely scenario at the moment, just because I can't see it keeping on running at this rate. There hasn't been a lot of new sort of information with Northern Star. They're still sort of consistent producing around that sort of 145, 150,000 ounce a quarter, I think. And I expect them that for the June quarter to be similar when they announce that next month. But until we sort of see any new sort of corporate information, I'm not sure we can keep sort of trending above this upper limit. So I'd look for some consolidation, potentially a pullback toward this sort of 450 range. This move here looks like another breakaway gap. It's something I've discussed a few times. These people always think gaps will be closed, but Northern Star has these real sort of breakaway moves where it doesn't always come back and fill the gap. You can see here, this one is one up at $3.87 to $4 sort of area. But then again, there was another here in from 420, and it did pull back and close that. But this one here looks like another sort of dramatic breakaway gap. So you might see it come back and test that 450 level, and then sort of bounce around, and maybe for the next 2 months potentially. But yeah, I think I mentioned in the Saracen video that there's going to be, I think Northern Star's got almost $300 million in cash from memory now as well before this quarter. So by the end of this quarter, that could be almost $350 million. So there's got to be something. They've got to start looking at options for using that cash. So whether that's an acquisition or a lot of the potential targets have moved so strongly that you're potentially buying some overvalued mid-tier producers if they were to look at that. Or they could look at something like a special dividend, say of 20 cents a share or something, which would be about 120 million paid back to shareholders. But I think the market will be looking for some sort of guidance on what they're planning on doing with all that cash. They still have got the Tanami project as well, which I think they're slated for first production there maybe in another 18 months. So that would be boost production towards 700,000 ounces a year. But they have that sort of long-term goal for 1 million ounce of production, which would really require an acquisition to come true. So I think they've got to be looking at some sort of new options from a corporate perspective. But until they cement those options, I still think it's a great hold. If you just want to follow the Australian dollar gold price, Northern Star is they're just quality, and they've shown that for the last 18 months. So I think that will continue, and I can still continue to hold a good portion of them.